Welcome back to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul, where we, soul in the new vibe, dig into the blueprints laid down by the legends.
That's right, Max. This season is all about taking those lessons from the past, the good and the bad.
Not the ugly.
Right. To push our own sound and our peers forward into the music we're creating today.
And who better to kick off a two-part deep dive than the genius, the architect himself, the master blaster, Stevie Wonder.
This week we're focusing on the foundational period, the little Stevie years.
Oh yeah, If You Really Love Me.
Yeah, that's the years leading right up to his battle for freedom in 1971. Think fingertips through signed, sealed, delivered.
Stephen Hardaway Junkins, born in 1950. No, he was blind since infancy due to an incubator issue. So we just talked about Ray Charles last week. That was a tough start for young Stephen. What happened, though, is a great story, Mello. Ronald White, who was a founding member and co-songwriter for Motown's first successful group, The Miracles, which led by our boy Smokey Robinson. And if you haven't caught that one, we did that last season on the first season of Architects of Soul. You should definitely check it out. So in 1961, when then Stephen was just 11 years old, he was living in Detroit, and he was known in his local neighborhood for his prodigious musical talent. Now, it seems that Ronnie and his friend John Glover, who is the brother of Miracles member Gerald Glover, were playing music at a local party, DJing, or at some gathering they were at, and Stephen was there, and he had the room captivated by playing piano, harmonica, and drums with an extraordinary skill and unbelievable energy, which was Stevie. Mm-hmm. So Ronnie White was reportedly so stunned by the sheer level of talent coming from this young blind boy.
That's right, Max. Ronnie White immediately realized this was more than just a neighborhood prodigy. This was a star in the making.
Oh, hell yeah.
White took the initiative to personally bring the young Stephen to the attention of Motown's founder and CEO, Berry Gordy Jr.
You want to talk about a fast track, huh, Mello?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ronnie brought Stephen to the Motown headquarters. And accounts say Berry Gordy was skeptical at first. But once Stephen began performing, showcasing his skills on multiple instruments and his vibrant vocal ability, well, Berry was completely won over. In fact, Berry was so thoroughly impressed, he reportedly exclaimed something to the effect of, "Wow, that boy is a wonder."
Yeah, and the result, Max, Gordy did say he was a wonder, and that's how little Stevie Wonder was born. Berry Gordy immediately signed the boy to the Motown label, and he was initially paired with producer Clarence Paul, who helped guide his early career.
And Clarence really did a magnificent job for him. And his first major hit, well, it was an accident of genius. The live recording of Fingertips Part 2 from the 1963 Motown Review. He was only 13 years old when that went to number one.
Wow.
The youngest artist ever at the time.
And that moment showed the world that even within the Motown factory, there was this uncontrollable raw talent. We'll dive into that incredible anecdote right after the break.
That's right. You're listening to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul, and we're talking Little Stevie Wonder. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the chaotic birth of a superstar.
Welcome back to Architects of Soul. Before we dive into the next chapter, remember, if you like this content, please give a like and subscribe to our channel. Please do. And remember, there is a video version available on our YouTube page if you feel like watching instead of just listening. Okay, Max, before we get into the fingertip story and how it perfectly illustrates the way true genius can shatter a perfect plan.
Bet, Mello. We ended last segment talking about Berry Gordy assigning Clarence Paul and the energetic 11-year-old Stephen Judkins. Initially, Mello, Clarence was tasked with keeping the boy busy, teaching him and managing his boundless energy. I mean, Clarence Paul often referred to himself as Stevie's babysitter in the studio. However, this job evolved into a deep, affectionate mentorship, and Clarence really, really did appreciate it, and I know Stevie did. And Paul taught Stevie about songwriting structure, about professionalism, and navigating the industry.
It's true, Max. The impact Paul's calm and patient demeanor was critical for the often unruly but brilliant young star. This stable, guiding presence allowed Stevie to focus his incredible talent, transforming him from a novelty child act into a professional recording artist. The next was his first single dilemma.
Right, Mello. Now the job became finding the sound. So after signing Little Stevie Wonder, Motown's A&R, our artist and repertoire team, of course we talked about them all last season, naturally led by Clarence Paul, who God bless him, was really good at what he did. They struggled to find the right song for the first record. They tried polished R&B songs, but none captured Stevie's live dynamic. Finally, Clarence decided to embrace Stevie's chaotic live energy, which was completely unusual for Motown's controlled studio environment, which we obviously know that from everything Motown did, and very controlled true, everything.
Clarence Paul ultimately convinced Gordy to release the frenetic live improvisational jam Fingertips, which was recorded during the 1962 Motown Review.
Oh, although it was released in 1963.
Yeah, released in 63, yes. Which brings us to the story.
That's right, Mello. As we already know, in 1962, a 12-year-old little Stevie Wonder was part of the Motown Review touring the country. His performance was usually at the end of the show, but at a Chicago gig, they put him on early.
Yes, Max, the Motown Review was a tight show, but little Stevie's jam Fingertips was chaotic. Stevie was notorious for getting lost in the music and stretching the performance way past the allotted time.
Because he was jamming.
Yeah, that's right. And since it was his set closer, Fingertips was an extended improvisational jam that went on for an electric 10 to 12 minutes.
That the band leader, realizing the crowd was going wild, reportedly told the musicians, keep it going. Don't let him stop. Mm-hmm. And the official single was taken from this live recording. And here's where the legend is born. So during one of Stevie's complex transitions in Fingertips, the bass player, thinking the song was over, literally walks off the stage. Yeah, I'm done for the night, he thinks.
But Stevie, that musical force of nature, launches back into the final furious section of the jam. There's a scream and a cry, really, and it was caught on tape, Max.
It sure was, Mello. And that iconic cry on tape, that's the bewildered bassist scrambling back to his instrument, yelling, What key? What key? What the heck key are we in? Right. That raw, spontaneous moment. That mistake became his first number one hit. And what an amazing story. And the lesson for us, don't fear the chaos in your creativity. Sometimes the most unpolished moment is the realest and the most resonant. Stevie proved he was an unpredictable, undeniable musical genius who couldn't be contained.
Exactly, Max. And the impact it had, by championing the raw live performance, Clarence Paul bypassed the Motown formula and delivered a smash hit.
And that live recording, Fingertips Part 2, well, that launched Stevie's career and proved that the boy's genius lay in his spontaneous instrumental and vocal power, not in a prepackaged song, but the chaos almost ended him.
It almost did, Max. After the success of Fingertips, Motown struggled to replicate the magic. As Stevie's voice began to change in his mid-teens and with several singles failing to chart, some Motown producers and executives suggested that Berry Gordy drop Little Stevie Wonder from the label. So the next part of his journey became the Great Teen Crisis.
It's hard to believe, Mello, but it was true. So by 1965, his voice was changing, and he hadn't had a hit in 2 years. And unfortunately, Berry really didn't think of him as more than a child novelty act. Not so much a wonder that he was going to be here and then gone. Motown executives saw him as a commercial failure, and they surely wanted to drop him. And here is where your girl, Stevie's savior, shows up.
Yes, Max, she sure does. And that savior, it was the incredible songwriter-producer Sylvia Moy. Mm-hmm. She had adamantly fought for him, convincing Berry Gordy that the material was wrong, not the artist. She then co-wrote and produced Uptight, Everything's All Right, specifically for his new, powerful, slightly raspy voice. But Sylvia Moy didn't just write the song. She saved the future of soul music.
And the takeaway, Mello, mentorship matters. And that mentorship helped us all, didn't it? Right, yeah. Mello, because Stevie had to transition from a novelty act to a serious artist, reinforcing his need to take control of his sound. And that transition was the key. By 1970, he was co-producing and playing many of the instruments on hits like Signed, Sealed, and Delivered I'm Yours, taking his first big step toward self-control. This marked his first major step toward self-production.
Yep, Max. And then Sylvia collaborated with him along with Henry Cosby to write the song Uptight, Everything's All Right in 65. Yeah. They crafted the song specifically to fit his maturing vocal range and energetic style. And the impact, Max, the song was a massive hit, saving his career and showing that Wonder could successfully transition into a serious teenage artist and songwriter.
Not just a novelty act.
Yeah. And while Sylvia Moy did indeed save Stevie's career from being dropped, we cannot make a strong enough point of the important role that was Clarence Paul. He was the one who initially fostered young Stevie to have confidence as a songwriter.
So true, Mello. Clarence Paul would often credit Stevie Wonder as a co-writer or writer on early album tracks, even when Stevie's contributions were small. Because Clarence recognized that to grow Stevie, he needed to see his name on the label and believe he was a creative equal, not just a performer. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
It is, yeah. And the impact it had, Max, this early encouragement from Clarence Paul laid the groundwork for Stevie's later demand for full creative control.
It most definitely did, Mello. It surely did. It taught the young artist the value of his own songwriting voice and prepared him for the self-produced, groundbreaking work of the 1970s. And Paul's mentorship was crucial in nurturing the architect before the architect knew he could tear down and rebuild the system.
Exactly, Max. He transitioned from the energetic Little Stevie Wonder sound to the consistent hit-making with classics like Uptight, Everything's All Right in 65, I Was Made to Love Her in 67, and My Sharia Moore in 69.
The genius in the making. Even while under the control of the Motown factory system, Mello, Stevie developed his talent as a songwriter for himself and others. I mean, he co-wrote and penned hits for other Motown artists, demonstrating his talent for crafting enduring pop songs, most notably The Tears of a Clown, which became a #1 hit for Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, first released in 67, but then it was later re-released to a huge success. I mean, that song is pivotal.
Stevie wanted to be pushing beyond the formula, and by the late 60s, Stevie Wonder began to infuse his lyrics with more socially conscious themes, a departure from Motown's focus on romantic pop soul.
And this is evident, Mello, in his cover of Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind in 1966.
Yes, Max, Stevie was definitely a genius in the making, but still he was shackled to the label. And after the break, we're going to talk about how he finally broke those chains.
That's right. It is a great story, and you don't want to miss it. Mel and I will be back in a moment. You are Kicking It with Architects of Soul.
Stay with us as we trace the journey of young Stevie Wonder.
Word. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Architects of Soul. So, we've established Stevie's immense musical talent, but now we get to the business side, the part of the blueprint that impacts every artist listening today. The moment Stevie Wonder turned 21 and gained control of his finances and future is one of the most significant power plays in music history. It was a calculated, months-long process that leveraged his undeniable talent against Motown's business model. We're going to say that again.
The year is 1971. Stevie turns 21.
Yep.
And the moment Stevie turned 21, he gained control of his finances and his future.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was one of the most significant power plays in music history. It was a calculated, months-long process that leveraged his undeniable talent against Motown's business model.
See, we said it again. Legally, the Coogan Law-style trust fund holding his sizable childhood earnings, he was Motown's most successful childhood star. Well, guess what? It was released to him. And hey, guess what else? He was suddenly wealthy. And crucially, he was free from his contractual obligations. Because guess what? His contract was expired. So there's a lot of guessing going on. So instead of rushing back to Motown or spending the money wildly, and Mello...
you would have, and so would I.
Yeah, I guess. But some of the things he did, I would have done. So, but what he did was he disappeared from Motown. He split from Hitsville for a few months, which was brilliant.
Yes, Max. He used a substantial portion of the money to pay for his own independent studio space and equipment.
Right, which is what I would have done in a minute.
Right, including the revolutionary Moog synthesizers. More importantly, he used the time to educate himself on the technical side of recording, engineering and production, and the financial side, publishing rights and master ownership.
And that sounds familiar, don't it?
Yep, and suddenly rich and, more importantly, free to act without constraint.
That's not so familiar, unfortunately.
Right, as his contract expired. And Max, he wanted control.
Oh, he sure did. And it was quite a shock to the bigs of Motown, especially Barry, because Barry was not about giving up control to nobody. But this was a radical move, Mello. Motown was a hit factory, and that's the truth. Artists were discouraged from learning the business because it paid for Barry not to let you know anything. Stevie's action signaled that he was no longer just a performer. He was a self-educated producer, arranger, engineer, and businessman, and he was ready to negotiate on an equal footing. So when Stevie finally approached Motown to negotiate, oh no, he was not looking for better terms. No. He was demanding a complete overhaul of the artist-label relationship. He was demanding two things Motown never, ever willingly gave up.
You're right, you are, Max. Stevie, full creative control.
Damn straight.
Final say over the songs.
Damn straight.
Instrumentation and album concepts.
Damn straight.
And listen up, Soul Fam. Ownership of his masters, the ownership of the copyright to his recording.
And don't that sound familiar, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Mello. He demanded unprecedented creative autonomy. He was fighting Motown's controlling hit factory structure. And while he was fighting beyond closed doors, he delivered a public message on his album, Where I'm Coming From, with the song I Want to Talk to You.
This is the ultimate insider story. The song outwardly deals with political and racial confrontation, but Motown insiders knew the angry dialogue between the black man and the old man was Stevie voicing his frustration directly to Berry Gordy and the label hierarchy.
Word. And the smoking gun, an audible ad-libbed whisper hidden deep in the mix. You can clearly hear him say, "I'm going to take my share." That was his artistic manifesto.
It was a true act of artistic architectural subversion.
Badass.
He used his music to serve notice. How did he do this without interference, technology, and knowledge?
It's the way to go.
Stevie, working alone using his new tools like the Moog synthesizer, this allowed him to produce, arrange, and sneak in those messages without a Motown supervisor watching his every move.
Right, and they were watching every move. The ultimate lesson for us, as every other artist, is that control over your sound begins with control over your space and your tools. And if you want creative freedom, you have to be technically self-sufficient, and that is what we're about.
Absolutely. This move set the stage for one of the biggest power plays in music history. And when we come back, the dramatic climax of that renegotiation and the financial threat that changed the game forever. You're listening to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul.
Right, we're digging deep on Stevie, so don't go nowhere.
Back in a moment.
Thanks for tuning into Architects of Soul. Our music is waiting for you. Hey, welcome back to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul. So, let's pick up on the final stages of Stevie's fight for freedom.
And again, if you like this content, please give a like and subscribe to our channel. And remember, there's a video version available on our YouTube page if you feel like watching instead of just listening.
Exactly. So, we know Stevie is 21, and he's free of his contract and independently wealthy. Boy, that must have been cruel. All that time educating himself on the technical and financial aspects of the music business. And remember, Soul family, knowledge is power. So, Stevie got a lawyer, and his name was Jonathan Vigoda, and Stevie decided that this guy was going to play the heavy. And Motown, particularly Berry Gordy, well, you know, he initially resisted the demands for master ownership and creative freedom, as he so normally did.
You bet, Max. When he finally walked back into Motown, he wasn't alone. Stevie's lawyer played the heavy, and when he negotiated the new, highly lucrative contract...
That's in 1975.
Yep, the 1975 deal. This guy was no joke, and Max, he was considered a high-powered lawyer who induced Motown to change. His brilliance was clearly recognized, as the negotiation was described by Berry Gordy as the most grueling and nerve-wracking we ever had.
Yeah, because he had to take a crowbar and open up his wallet.
That's right. This suggests how formidable and well-regarded a figure in the industry he was when taking on the negotiation.
That's right, Mello. Motown, especially Berry Gordy, initially completely, resisted the demands for any of this master ownership and creative freedom. You got to be kidding me. We don't give that up. That's not what we want to do. And Stevie wasn't playing. And so Jonathan Vigoda had leverage. Leverage? Yeah. Stevie's talent and his willingness to walk, to say bye-bye, Berry. And he looked Berry Gordy in the eye, Jonathan Vigoda, and he said, hey, you built the empire, but you're losing $10 million a year for every year you don't sign Stevie Wonder. And these are the non-negotiables. This is what you cannot tell me we cannot do for Stevie. He gets full creative control, master ownership, and a massively increased royalty rate. Now, that's cold, hard leverage, huh, Mello?
Yeah, that financial threat, backed by Stevie's unmatched talent and his willingness to walk away completely, worked. Motown had to grant Stevie the most liberal, artist-friendly contract they had ever signed.
I bet you Berry just shit himself.
Right.
Seriously. The resulting contract was so groundbreaking. I mean, Stevie got that full artistic freedom. He was his own boss in the studio. Oh, it's so cool. A massive royalty rate, far exceeding what any other Motown artist had ever received. Now Stevie could produce and arrange his music without the interference of the Motown supervisors. They weren't sitting on his chest or on his back trying to tell him what to do and where to do it. This allowed him to bury those explosive political and contractual messages in his art, effectively subverting the system from within.
This was an impactful, bold, unprecedented act of artistic guerrilla warfare.
Say it.
Stevie was letting the world and his boss know that little Stevie was dead.
Forever.
The architect of soul was here, and he was taking his power, and most importantly, master ownership.
Hear it, fam, hear it. Exactly, Mello. After a set period, the rights to his recordings would revert back to him. This is the crucial takeaway for us in Soul in the New Vibe and every other artist out there. The architect of soul doesn't just write the songs. He owns the blueprint. See, Stevie set the precedent that the artist, not the label, is the primary source of value.
It paved the way for generations of artists to demand more control over their business assets. You see the through line, or the thread, as you like to call it, or the string, as you'd like to call it. A child genius, almost dropped, who uses talent and financial power to wage a battle for self-determination before he dropped the seminal albums of the 70s.
You're right, Mello. Join us right after the break for the final segment where we will break down the biggest lessons that we take away from this early period and apply to our own music and Soul in the New Vibe, and that you should apply to yours too.
And you're listening to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul.
That's right. Come on back and we'll put a topper on this part one, dig into Stevie Wonder. Master architect, I would say. Right, Mello?
No doubt, Max. No doubt.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to our final segment where we tie the history of Stevie Wonder's rise to control back to the present day reality for us in Soul of the New Vibe and all of our compatriots grinding away.
Definitely, Mel. The early Stevie years give us 3 core lessons for creating modern soul music. Lesson 1, champion your evolution. Just like Sylvia championed Stevie, we have to recognize and support the evolution of all our own sound. Don't be afraid to leave the cute phase behind and step into your full, matured voice. We can't stay on our first record forever.
Lesson 2, weaponize your knowledge. Stevie taught us that genius isn't enough. By learning about his finances, his trust, and the legal aspects of his masters, he turned talent into power.
Hear that, soul fam.
As modern artists, we have to understand that our publishing splits, our sync licensing, and our digital distribution deals. That's why we spend so much time studying the music business side.
It's so important. And lesson 3, creative freedom requires technical self-reliance. Stevie buying his own studio gear and learning the Moog was his key to subversive art. For Soul in the New Vibe and all the other artists in the game, that means mastering our DAWs, our plugins, and our own home production setups. The more we rely on ourselves, the less we rely on any machine or label.
These early years are the perfect setup for episode 2, where we dive deep into the revolution, music of my mind, talking book, Innovisions, the albums that changed music forever, all because of the right people showing up at the right time in his career. And that would be Clarence, Paul, and Sylvia Moore.
Yeah, baby, they were a brilliant thing to happen, and we are grateful that they came into his life, because we might not have had the Stevie Wonder that we got.
We have, exactly. They taught him to fight for that creative freedom, and in that battle for freedom in 1971, Stevie gave us an explosion of creative output that still influences our grooves,
oh, no doubt,
our chord progressions, and our entire sound. We can't wait to break that down for you.
And as always, we want to close with our final thought and our hope for all of us, our art, our craft, and our creations.
Keep that soul fire burning, protect your sound, nurture your creativity, own your voice, and remember the lessons from the giants who came before.
And yes, protect your masters and seek out wise mentors who can guide you on your journey. And until next we meet, peace and soul, y'all.